career trail. Your success journey begins here.
Hello there, welcome to another exhilarating edition of the Career Trail right here on Joy Learning TV and Joy News. Now today I have here with me an amazing personality, but before we take a look at the profile video of my guest, I want to tell you a few things about him. Now, he's very particular when it comes to language, and so his articulation, his diction, and of course his pronunciation, they're always on point. So he dare not mention Adisadel College or St. Augustine's College. No. He's going to tell you that, no. What did you just say? The word is college. Aside that, he doesn't mind giving young people opportunity to also share stages with him. So I've seen him train so many young personalities, and I believe the goal is to become like him or even better than him. And also, he loves to look good. So he wears an outfit, and then he calls you, Irene, what do you think about my tie? Once you say it's okay, he tells you to call another person. It goes on and on until he's finally convinced that, yes, I can come on the show with this particular tie. There is more you need to know about my guest, so without wasting my time, if you are ready, I was definitely born ready to do this. Let's take a look at the profile video of my guest.
He is a Ghanaian professional master of ceremonies, international boxing ring announcer, and television and radio journalist. He's a product of St. Augustine's College, African University College of Communications, and the Ghana Institute of Journalism, now UNIMAC. He is a TV and radio journalist at the Multimedia Group Limited, one of the largest private media conglomerate in Ghana. He has hosted numerous shows, notable amongst them is the Ghana Movie Awards and Vodafone Ghana Music Awards. He has been honored with many awards, including Media Personality of the Year by 2018 Glitz Africa Style Awards. He's married with 3 lovely kids. Our guest for this week's edition of Career Trail is Nathaniel Attoh, popularly known as Citizen Attoh.
And so you have it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let's help me welcome my guest for today on the Career Trail, Mr. Nathaniel Attoh, aka Citizen Attoh. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. And, it's wonderful to be here. And, it feels a little weird to have you on this side and me here, right?
Yes, because growing up, I've always been watching you. And so to now sit on the same stage with you, it's a privilege.
Thank you very much.
And I want to use this opportunity to commend you for the good work done and also to appreciate you for giving us young people the opportunity to also listen to your story and then get inspired.
Thank you very much.
All right, so you're welcome once again.
Hey, glad to be here.
But anyways, whatever I said was true. The clue I gave about you. I believe before even wearing this batakari, you had to ask about 1,000 people.
You gave me away, yeah? I always keep saying, and I use the analogy of the back of your head.
Okay.
Now, in my favorite sport, which is boxing, when you punch the back of somebody's head, it's called a rabbit punch. It's a foul.
Oh.
It's a very sensitive area of your head. But have you noticed that you cannot see the back of your head on your own? By nature, you cannot see unless you use 2 reverse mirrors and stand in the middle. So in the same way, there could be a day when you have a wardrobe malfunction that you haven't noticed, which we normally refer to as your blind spot.
Okay.
So that person standing behind you, that person standing away and monitoring you from a distance, is that person who gets to see that little detail, which can end up to make a very negative statement about you. And so once that person sees and draws your attention to it, it becomes your savior, and it gets to correct whatever mistake there is. Secondly, there is the bit about having 2 heads and having more than one opinion.
Okay.
Now, in the health sector, for instance, when people are diagnosed with health conditions and all of that, there are days when the doctors will tell you, let's get a second opinion. And so in the same vein, that is the inspiration that we get, a second opinion about things. So for instance, I call 2 ladies, I call 2 gentlemen, and then I say, is this coffee color in my smock dark enough? Some of them will say, well, it's dark, but you need a little, you need it to be a little darker. Maybe you may have a divergent opinion. And then maybe you may have the 2 gentlemen agree with you, so it will be a 3-1 decision. So then it means that the majority other people who have it, you know. So it's always good to have diverse opinions, you know. I mean, when you go when you go into our government structure, you look at the legislature, for instance. That's why we have parliament. We have the floor of parliament, where legislators go on the house. They go. Bills are put before the house, and they debate, you know. And everybody brings up something that somebody may not necessarily be considering. So that's what makes life rich. And I believe that this is, you know, the thought behind getting people to take that decision. Because you see, at the end of the day, it's the people who will be sitting out there and looking at you. Yeah. And it's the people who will appreciate what you've put on or whatever you've created. You understand me? Yeah. So get the people, get a minute representation of the people to take that decision so that you go ahead to satisfy them and make them happy.
With all confidence. All right. Thank you so much for that education.
Yeah, sure.
So now when we talk about Mr. Nathaniel Attoh, who are you?
So, you know, back in the time when we were in primary school, there was this very popular, English grammar, essay that they made you write, myself.
Yeah.
You wrote myself, right?
Yes.
Everybody has written myself before, and I feel like I'm going back to it. Well, this is me. I mean, I believe that versatility is what defines my path at this time of my life. Versatility in the sense that in my journalism practice, many people identify me for being a sports journalist. However, I have practiced and operated in various spaces within journalism. I mean, I've spent 15 years here at the Multimedia Group.
Wow.
And within those 15 years, I've done the headline news. I've done the morning show on Joy. I've done, I've done all sorts of things. I've functioned very well as well in the arts and entertainment spaces, which is one of my main areas of interest as well. So it's versatility. And that versatility, I believe, is a talent that God himself gave me. Because, I mean, you go into the Bible, you look at the parable of the sower, and you look at how every other person is given a certain opportunity. And I believe that irrespective of where you're born, where you come from, which part of planet Earth you live in, God gives everybody that talent or those talents that they can explore to not only make wealth, create wealth, and be useful to their immediate families, but to be useful to the bigger picture of Mother Earth and bigger picture of society. So I'm a pure Ga Adangbe. I'm pure Ga Adangbe. I'm a thoroughbred Ga Adangbe.
Okay.
I mean, my father, my mother, they're both fine breeds of Ga Adangbe people. And so I traced my roots to Jamestown, and then and then Manyakbouno in the eastern region. I mean, that is also under contention because we're Ga Adangbe people, and for some weird reason, when the remapping of Ghana was done, we were the only ones who were torn into the eastern region, but we're supposed to be part of Greater Accra. So that's the campaign that we're going to be embarking on. I grew up here in Accra. My parents separated when I was like three years old, but they were the best of friends. That's the good thing. And they combined very well to give me a decent childhood together with my siblings. So I have Ghanaian and Romanian blood in my family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my father studied his medicine, God bless his soul. Dr. Victor Attoh studied his medicine in Romania.
Oh, okay.
And, he got married the first time. So, they had to go their separate ways. So there was a divorce. And then he married my mother. And then out of that, a number of children have emerged. So it's a very interesting combination. Boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. How he did it, I don't know. I should have asked him before he died. My mom is a businesswoman. She's a trader. She's specialized in, shirts, shoes, socks, accessories, basically. I mean, dressing accessories. So, so I think that from my childhood, aside what I saw with my father, the number of suits in his closet and my big brothers, I think that, especially my big brother, Albert, that is where I got a bit of the inspiration from. Aside all the other, the other forms of inspiration, the extrinsic inspiration, like you're watching television or you see someone somewhere and all of that, And childhood was fun. We lived with, my father trained some of our cousins and we lived together. It was a beautiful thing, and they're all doing very well by the grace of God.
Okay.
And I attended Rich Church School. Beautiful memories from there as well.
Okay.
I made so many good friends. And they say something in life that, what goes around comes around. And it's amazing that at this time, we have so many of these people popping up in different places. You see somebody's child. I'll tell you a story without wanting to digress too much. I dropped my daughter off in school at the creche at Daddy Daycare in East Legon.
Okay.
Dropped the kid off, and I saw a little boy, light-skinned. I saw the little boy, and then I just called the teacher and said, look, this boy, his mother is called Christine. Just like that. Because, his face, the shape of his face, he's the Christine I'm talking about was 1 year behind me in Rich Church School, okay? And her elder sister, Annalisa, was my classmate, and then she has a younger brother. But when I saw the kid, I said, look, this surely will be, because her elder sister is not in town, is not in Ghana at the moment. So I put 1 and 2 together. I said, look, this has to be. And it was true.
Yes.
The kids, that was I knew what I was talking about, apparently, And that's what it is. Recently, I decided to go back to improve self, at the University of Ghana. And it turns out that one of my lecturers, has a very interesting story to tell with me because her mother taught me in class 2.
Wow.
Yes, her mother taught me in class 2. And, the circle and the cycle has just gone round. Now there she is. She's teaching me. Mother taught me in class 2. Now daughter is teaching me again.
Wow.
So quite a number of things. And I discovered my emceeing talent back in Rich Church School in class 5.
Class 5?
Class 5, yes. I discovered that talent in class 5, yes. And this thing where our primary school teachers have their pets, like their favorite, Student. And normally it's the pupil or student who has, who's always scoring the high marks in class. And that's the general thing that cuts across. But I'm always grateful to Mrs. Benson-Ajay, Mrs. Elizabeth Benson-Ajay.
Okay.
I'll always pray for that woman. She is the one through whose platform or through whose decision-making got me to realize that this talent was my talent and this is my blessing from God. And I took it from there, and the story has been out there for all to see.
Okay, growing up, who did you aspire to become, or what did you aspire to become?
Well, my father was a very successful, obstetrician gynecologist, yes, so obviously you're looking at that or, law or, architecture or whatever. So, yeah, the sound of Dr. Attoh sounds very, very good in your ear, so I said that for a while. I was singing those choruses for a while, which is very normal, But there are so many other professions. And I took this decision to do journalism after one of my aunties as well, Mrs. Joan Tete. She is, her husband is the founder of the Ethereal Mission in Ghana, Ethereal Mission, the church. I'd done Bridge Church, I'd done St. Augustine's College. Okay. Filled some of my papers, was getting ready to, resat the papers. And I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do. Oh, okay. You get me? And so, my aunt once looked at me and said, look, you like to write well, you speak well, you like to research, I think journalism is your thing. So let's pursue it. So that was after St. Augustine's? That was after St. Augustine's, yes. Okay, but before we go into journalism, let's talk about your life at St. Augustine's College. Yeah. Was it the first choice? Yes, it was, and I got it hands down. And you selected it, or it was done for you by... No, not at all, not at all. My father was leaned more towards Presec, and if I wanted to attend Presec, I'd have walked in there. I would have walked in there. And I'm saying this with the great humility and confidence as well at the same time. Because BC went very well. Okay. I was not your A-class student in Richard School. Don't get it twisted. Okay. Now, and I'll tell you why. Because, and I'm grateful for that as well. Now, in Richard School, we had 3 streams. Okay. R, C, and S, representing Ridge Church and School. Oh, okay. R, C, and S, okay? Now, I started in the S stream. And then after class 3, when we're going to class 4, I was switched. And that was done randomly. That had nothing to do with your parents taking a decision or not. We went to school one morning and they said, They mentioned my name. They mentioned two others. Two of them, are now settled in two of them are in the UK. One of them is in the US. So I remember their names too very well, my classmates. So, Della Van Leer, Lloyd Oakley, and Ife Haum, Nathaniel Attoh. Come with me. It was as simple as that. So from when they said, well, they're switching us to R. Okay. Oh my goodness. And these are people, all these people, you're so used to them. we're all in the same school, we're all in the same grade and all of that. But then, you have to switch and get used to people all over again and all of that. So we were a little distraught, but with time, we got used to it. But the advantage there in the R class was that you could score 85%. Are you listening to me?
Yeah.
You could score 85% and finish in the 15th position in a class where
85.
we had about, yes, you could score 85% in an exam and you could finish in the 15th and 16th position in a class that was around between 38 and 42 people. Yes. And so it was heavily competitive in that class, and I'm grateful for that because you see, they always say every disadvantage is a blessing in disguise. As a child at the time, obviously, I saw it as a disadvantage, the switch, getting me away from the people I was used to another class was, but then in the eventual scheme of things, it proved to be a great deal of wealth and for me, and it got me to learn as well. It got me to improve because you had to improve, And then when we were about to write our BEC as well, I was part of the batch who started the 10 subjects.
Okay.
It started with my year group. And I remember very well, the thing in my class at the time was, I finished social studies. Finished social studies means the person has read from JSS 1 to JSS 3. It's done everything. That is, I've finished. So, hey, Charlie, what have you finished? I finished social studies. I finished maths. Hey! You're asking yourself, when am I also going to finish? That encouraged, and that was when the load shedding, which we call Doomsop, began. It was back then in 1998 that they, we used to, that was when rechargeable lamps became a thing. So you'd have rechargeable lamps, you'd have candles and all of that. And, at the time, I remember anytime the lights went off, my dad would just pick the phone and call, and say, the lights are off. And within 5 minutes,
the lights are back.
That was how simple life was back then. And of course, obviously, because consumption has increased, and the production, the production capacity is not commensurate with the population and the consumption. So it becomes a big problem. It's being managed now. So yeah, it was interesting. And once again, that artistic side of me always was there. Look, there were days when we'll have a free period. I just come and stand in front of the class. Sometimes you just want to crack jokes. You just want to, tell people stories and all of that. We used to do all sorts of things. I remember, there was a time when, and this is not when the teacher was around. This is just us. And then maybe the class was, Charlie, Journey to the West. What do they call it? This series that used to show, this Asian series that used to show on GTV, Journey to the West. It was very, very popular with the guy who looked like
the monkey.
Yeah. So there was a guy in my class who used to be very good with imitating the theme song. And oh my God. When he starts the first line, has this very silly look on his face and he's standing there singing the song. All of these things. We used to do all those things, So yeah. And those times I used to create, I'll just within 5 minutes, because I just want to go and stand in front of the class and address them. So yeah, I just create a story, go stand there and I'll be, So all of those things just kept happening. And then, in lower primary, I became a prefect.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, the discovery of my talent happened in class 5 when we had an inter-streams debate. Okay, so between RC and S. But we started at the local level, which is by each class. So when we started in my class, I remember very well, this debate was about farmers and doctors and who was more important to the development of a nation. Interestingly, considering that my father was a doctor, I would have loved to be
a doctor.
But I was taken to go and be
a debater
for the farmers.
Farmer.
So I think we entered the second day, and Mrs. Benson-Ajay just sat one afternoon and said, look, we need an MC. Immediately she said that, I said to myself, look, bingo, this is it for me. So she called the first person. She couldn't make it. She couldn't make the grade.
Okay.
Go sit down. Call the second person. She couldn't make the grade. Go sit down. And then she called me. And then I raised my hand. So it was open, but then, but she selected the first within. And then she said, listen, we need an MC who can, put themselves up for this. And then I raised my hand. She called me. And that's the end of the story.
Wow.
Eventually, we had a whole big one with all the classes. We collapsed the doors and opened you know how you, at these halls, this was a whole big deal, and so it was myself and another two who were selected from the other classes. But of course, I was the main man, and immediately after that, everybody started calling me MC, 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 MC. And that was the beginning of it, and it's been great. I have lovely memories from there. I think that the foundation from there has been amazing.
Okay.
And we've learned so many different lessons from people. Why did I pass my BEC? I had a very competitive environment. Number two, we also had tutors who were very much on us. At the point, you didn't like them because, at every point, we all like free periods. We all like to do extra PE when the instructor or your PE tutor is done with, the technical instructions about how to do what. And you can play what you want to play and all of that. Maybe somebody has brought the new edition of the FIFA football. We want to play it. Somebody has brought a basketball, which we want to, and this one boils down to selection. And I had a mate who used to select whether or not he was the one who brought the ball. Anytime you bring the ball, you are the one who's the champion. Yeah. It was nice. And people's birthdays. One of the interesting things I noticed as well was, and that feeds into the thought of being in the limelight and how people are always attracted to you when you're successful and when you're in the limelight. So anytime it was your birthday, you had like 3 or 4 best friends because that day, you're going to cut cake, they're going to take pictures, So best friends, on the day you see people, it happened very consistently. Every time anybody was celebrating a birthday, you realize that they had 3 or 4 best friends. And that is, in itself, is a lesson in life.
Okay.
So it starts from that age all the way up. And it reflects when we also grow. It reflects when you're going through the tough times. There's nobody there. There's only a few people there. But then when you hit the limelight and everything is successful, she was my classmate. Her sister's brother is my friend. My cousin's sister's uncle. Yeah. Everybody knows you. So that's life for you. And like I said, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for that path. It has shaped me in a great way. Values and everything, in addition to what I received from home, from my mother, from my father, and it's been amazing.
Okay. So now let's talk about life at the senior high school level. Do you remember your first day at school?
Interestingly, we had our speech day, our 94th speech day of St. Augustine's College recently, and my seniors who were in Form 3 when I got in, had me come to host and come and MC the speech day. They were the hosts. The year group is the host year group for the speech day. And I was just sitting with my friends. We're just having some drinks right in front of the administration block. And I'm saying, guys, are you realizing something? This is us, man. This is us. Do you remember the first day when we had closed mass? So we had attended mass. When we got into school, doing, cleaning the dormitory and getting the place fixed and arranging the assembly hall and whatever for school activities and events was still being done by the Form 2s, our seniors, by a year. So it was a 2-week grace period. Okay. So once that grace period was over, it was a Sunday. We had attended mass. And then I remember, I think it was the assistant dining hall prefect, who coincidentally was the guest speaker for this speech day. He's the CEO of Hubtel. His name is Alexa J. Bram. Yeah. He just says, all Form 1 boys remain seated. The rest of you can leave. Form 1 boys, the grace period is over. Oh my goodness. Immediately I heard that, I was like, oh God, when will I ever complete this?
The school.
And then the toughness and the hard knock life begun from there, get punished by seniors. And I got punished a lot. I got punished a whole lot.
Because you were stubborn.
I was hanging out with one of my seniors who used to punish me a lot, and now we're all friends and we're, Stubborn, well, I was adventurous. That's what I would say. I was very adventurous, and I'm sure they probably saw that I was very bubbly and I was all over the place, and so when the seniors, they always want to tame you and calm you down because they are in charge. They run the show.
Okay.
So you don't come there, you don't come and But it was all good. I made some very good friends as well. So you see, the strategy in secondary school is you have to be under the care of an influential senior.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody who has control.
And can shield you.
Yes, so when there's trouble, you run and go and, And interestingly, I had a lot of them outside my house. St. Stephen's, I had a lot of them outside my house. And, there were some of them whose beds were right by the door. So there was nothing you could do. So I got punished by the second like that, by the second. Yeah, it was nice. And my mom's shito is very good, Esther. Shouts to my mom. I call her Esco J.
Hey.
Yeah, my mother Esther is a very good cook. She used to do two kinds of shito, yeah. And the shito, there was that one that was light, in terms of how hot it is. And there was the very, very, very hot one, So I had friends who just came up to my dormitory. Charlie, where your old girl is stored. I just thought, just come and just be eating, Yeah.
Oh.
Seniors will reach into your box, take what they like, go away, We saw all of that. We suffered all of that. Got beaten up, got punished, kneeled down. And I remember one day when I was asked to sit flat on the floor.
What did you do?
It was very breezy. What did I even do? It's just one of those days. There are days when you don't even need to do anything. There are days when somebody, hey, Attoh, come here. Come here. Yeah, Sit on the floor. So I sat flat on the floor and I could just see all the beds. It was around 10, 11 p.m. And all these beds were just, everybody was asleep. My mates were all asleep.
Yeah,
so during my year group, I was the most punished Form 1 boy in St. Stephen's House, Dorm B. I was the most, and my mates know it.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I became a prefect, an assistant house prefect, in Form 3. And I saw them, try to, bully the little boys. I said, you see, when we came here, you were all crying around.
Complaining.
Yeah. And I told them, I said, look, I'm saying this to you now, and you all know that I was the most punished. Yet, see. It was a very interesting time. And, loads and loads of escapades. Once in a while, you try to break bounds when there are no exeats to be given. There's a no exeat rule, We still find our way to Holy Child, Wesley Girls, and Fancyman. And there were days when we do the four-legged tour,
Okay.
So you do Wesley Girls. Wesley Girls is down Abra. So you have to plot your movement very well, And back in the time, very good, clean-looking cabs with air conditioning was the thing, And we had friends who were cab drivers, And I forgot to tell you this. On the first day when I entered, I touched base with one of my seniors, the person I'm telling you about, back in school. Immediately I entered the dorm, looked at me, hey, what's your name? Come here. I said, my name is Nathaniel Attoh. He said, hey, come. Nathaniel Attoh. What be your puppy name? I said, Dr. Attoh, Dr. Victor Attoh. Hey, come here. Hey. He said, my father injected him, gave him some injection, the way the injection pained him. Come here. Your puppy, hey, Charlie, where? Then he started telling his mates about it. I said, oh, God. I remember the same day. So when they were going, hey, come here. Then one guy was just cool, calm in the corner. Pretending like he was cool and wasn't going to do anything to me. And he called me to come, Charlie, so how? He started asking me about how things were back home and everything. Where did I attend school? Asking me more about myself. And then he said, oh, yeah, I should be hungry by now. Then he just opened his chop box and brought out bread. Then he gave me the bread. I said, oh, I was okay. He said, no, you go ahead. So I broke some of it, put it in my mouth. He said, hey, you chop my bread. You chop me my bread? So there was a little space between the chop box and the wall.
Okay.
I had to become a gymnast I had to become very flexible, and I had to fit myself into that space. And then he just closed me up, and I was just sitting there.
Because you've eaten the bread.
Oh, no, Charlie. It's crazy. And then there was another type where they put the sponge, the sponge that we use, put it between two fingers, and you put your nose in there, and then they pull it. Yeah. Oh, all of those things. We went through all of that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So now let's talk about life after senior high school.
Yeah.
What school did you attend after senior high school?
Well, so I had the first part of my journalism training in the African University College of Communications, which then was AIJC. Oh. So it was then known as the African Institute of Journalism and Communications, okay? The very first major communication training institution after GIJ, which is now UNIMAC. So I did my training there, and then after that I got an opportunity to go and do my internship at the Graphic Communications Group. And I went in there, and once again, it was a very good environment. I saw all sorts of legends there, and interestingly, I was assigned to the sports department.
Oh, okay.
And I already had an interest in sports. And so because of that, I latched onto it, and I started going along. I had some very experienced seniors at the time. Maurice Kwanzaa, an immediate past president of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana.
Okay.
He's also the editor of Graphic Sports now. Mr. Felix Abayate at the time was the editor, legendary Felix Abayate. Mr. Aka Anthony, who also became a president of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana. He was the assisting editor. You had Rosalind Amo. Rosalind Amo plays a very big role when it comes to football administration. I think she's been shifted to a news editor now. She does more of general news now. She controls the newsroom at the Graphic Communications Group now. And then there was Samuel Ebukwetu, Reverend Samuel Ebukwetu. And there was Andy Kwao, there was Michael Quay, and Andy Kwao. Later on, Andy Kwao left the Ghanaian Times and joined us there. He's also senior. And, interestingly, the sing-a-thon lady, Ifwa Idionum, her husband Kofi and I started our friendship from Graphic. Because he was 1 year my senior in journalism school, and I came and met him there. He was just on the brink of his national service, wrapping up his national service there, So Kofi and I go way back, the gentleman, yeah. So Kofi is my friend. So so at that point I was the youngest, I was the youngest person, at the department. And I learned at the feet of all of these seniors that I got a lot of guidance. And I decided to specialize in boxing at the time because, it was an area of interest once again. And so you needed to, and of course, at the time, what made you relevant was the kinds of stories you wrote, and the weight behind the kinds of stories you wrote, the strength of the headlines and the depth in the stories. And we were not running the normal newsroom structure, which had you go and go cover an assignment, the traditional coverage of assignments and all of that. No. You came in there and you had to generate your stories. And that was what built it. And that's why I like areas like genres like sports journalism, entertainment and culture and all of that. Because you sit, you think deep, you go in there, you go behind the scenes and go and do a lot of features, you generate your own stories based on what you see happening on the landscape. And I think it was very helpful. I did some international assignments, and I was privileged enough to have the likes of Ike Bazooka Kwate open up to me because, look, at the time, obviously, all the big names or the newsmakers, the big newsmakers and all of that, always dealt with the bosses and the big names in the industry. So look at this boy, a greenhorn, Nathaniel Attoh, But obviously, in my formative years, there was something that I was growing gradually, which I learned from family, which I learned from my parents, which is growing relationships, growing good interpersonal relationships. So human relation skills are very, very important here. And I believe that I brought that with me as a greenhorn at the time into the space, and it helped me greatly. So I didn't only go to people to introduce myself and say I worked with Graphic. And you see, other thing too is that I believe very much in brand and the strength of brand. Because you see, where I was also helped to, it complemented my quality and it pushed me. You understand me?
Oh, okay.
So at the time, I mean, if you were at a private newspaper which was smaller and not known, as against you were at Graphic, obviously people were going to give you a lot more attention because they knew that whatever they said through you or whatever they wanted to go out there through you was going to cover, a wider audience. So yes, it happened like that, and it was, and I had to push real hard because look, you had all these big names there in the department, and you had to, you had to swim and keep your head above the water and be noticed.
Okay.
So with time, it wasn't easy. I remember very well that my first major story that I got, and it was all through my own initiative, I got that story. Maurice Kwanzaa had to clean it up for me. He cleaned it up in that he sat down, looked at the script, and rewrote it. And then Felix Abayate had closed from work. He was going home, and he saw me behind the PC. He came and was reading read. He said, look, this is Maurice's language. This is not your language. And all of that, instead of intimidating me, encouraged me. I said, okay, so if this is it, then I have to develop my own writing style so that you can notice my writing, I mean, I also met the likes of Mr. Samuel Kainte, may God bless his soul. I think he is one of the greatest writers we've had in our history, at least in my generation.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Samuel Kainte passed on some years ago. He was a fantastic writer. And, I mean, he takes you into the space. Whatever it is that he's talking about, he took you into the space. The diction, the arrangement, amazing.
Oh,
amazing.
okay. All right, so let's talk about how your MC career professionally began, because at that time, you had already discovered that you were good at MCing. So why not go into MCing and then you decided to become a journalist?
Well, I also came up during an era when those with more numbers and more visibility for their brands were considered more for MC jobs and for MC roles. And so here was the very talented me hiding my face behind print because I was in print journalism. And anytime you made an effort, and it's been a long journey, where you really wanted to make an effort, you approached people and said, listen, I'd love to play this role. I mean, and I would even want to do it for free because, look, at the time you were, and so it was a struggle at the time because there were those who thought, nah, I mean, hey, there are a lot of important people who are coming. You don't want to get it wrong, But I kept pushing. And like I said, the frustration was always, when I knew that I was better than this person. I was better than that person. Oh. I could do a better job. But just because the person was on radio or on television, they chose them. And another mistake that a lot of events organizers and committees who organize events were making, or probably are still making, is that just because they see somebody, someone as a newscaster looking very presentable, looking very good and articulating well, means that they can steer events from start to finish with that kind of tact and that kind of professionalism. No, it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
There is a need to understand the space, understand that it's an art, and understand audience dynamics and all of that. And not everybody is able to do that. You get it. While not everybody is able to do that, everybody can, because you can learn and you can get yourself into that space. You can train yourself and get trained, and you can function perfectly in that space. It's just like the Cristiano Ronaldo story as against Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi is naturally talented. He could close his eyes and dribble everybody around the pitch. Cristiano Ronaldo is talented, but he had to learn how to do it. Sometimes when he sees something done by someone, or he sees or imagines something, he pushes himself and learns how to do it. So there are two kinds of people. Oh, okay. So yes, I went through that phase, and I'm very grateful to certain people for seeing the talent, seeing the gold where everybody thought, oh, this guy's a greenhorn. One of the people I'm grateful to is Mr. Gedilaye, Mr. Reginald Gedilaye. He's the chairman of Ogilvy, Ghana, and he's a board chairman of GOIL, the current board chairman of GOIL. He's one of my godfathers. He's been an amazing person. He took a decision for me to MC a major event, an awards event, when he hadn't seen me MC before. I don't know why he took that decision. I still haven't I still haven't figured out, why he took that decision. I haven't asked him as well. So recently he celebrated his 70th birthday, and I was so glad. I'm grateful to God that I was able to go to his Thanksgiving service and celebrate him. I celebrated him with a poem, and I'll forever be grateful, because when he took that decision, it defined a turnaround in my career as an MC. And hey, it's been an amazing journey so far. There's been on so many stages, international, local, met so many people, different people around the world. And the journey continues. There's still a lot more to do. And every other time when I sit back and look at myself, I say I'm grateful to God for the kind of journey that I've traveled, in the sense that we've learned many lessons. We have learned tough lessons based on which we're supposed to be better. And it can only get better.
Oh, okay. So can you mention some of the projects you worked on?
Oh.
Briefly.
Well, look, I've done, like I said, I'm a versatile brand. I've introduced every relevant, so in the entertainment industry, for instance, I've introduced every relevant artist music. Some of them have even passed on, old generation and current. I've done major musical concerts. Last year, for instance, I did the Soni Badu concert.
Okay.
It was a very successful, well-attended concert. Dr. Soni Badu's concert, the, Rhythms of Africa concert. I hosted Kwabna Kwabna and Becca's, Valentine's Day, the Love, concert at the Grand Arena as well. That is for the entertainment industry. I've done pageants. I've done the Miss Ghana pageant. I've done Miss Universe Ghana. That's for the entertainment industry, like I said. In the area of sport, I've done the opening ceremony of the CAF Women's AFCON. I did the official draw for it. Okay. When it comes to presidential dinners and events that are graced by the president, we've done various commissioning events, various presidential dinners, various presidential awards dinners, also commissioning of major projects as well. There's been quite a number of hospitals and buildings that have been commissioned, or major projects that have been commissioned by the president that I've worked on. Gladly, I've served the late President Mills. I've served the living former President Mahama, and I've served Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as well as an MC. And like I said, I'm grateful for all the experiences. It gets you to learn. It gets you within a very privileged space.
Okay.
And based on that, it also shapes the way your branding is done, and the way your branding has already been done. I decided to brand myself in a specific way to get myself into this space that I'm in. Okay. And I'm glad to have taken that path. So yes, we're doing it professionally, running, as a business and all of that, paying money to GRA from time to time.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So I have 3 questions for you, but before...
I hope they are not so difficult.
No, they are from students. So we'll go for a quick breather. When we come back, I'll ask you those questions. This is still the Career Trail on Joy Learning TV and Joy News. Let's take a quick breather. We'll be right back.
The Career Trail. Your success journey begins here.
Welcome back from the break. This is still the Career Trail on Joy News and Joy Learning TV. Now, this is the second aspect of the program where I get to ask you 3 questions from your fans. Are you ready?
Please go ahead.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Amokenda Watson, a student of Unimac IJ. I study public relations with marketing. And my question is, most upcoming journalists complain about salaries. Did you experience that?
Starting my career as a whole. Obviously, you as young people, when we start life, you go in stages. Okay. So I went from going on a paid internship to national service, where you get an allowance at the end of the month, and then you carry on from there. So yes, as young people, when you're growing up, there are days when you fall on your parents again, you fall on your older siblings, some very good uncles and aunties. They tell you, oh, come over to the office. Everybody does that, But my principle, and here it is, the principle is don't go asking people for money.
Oh, okay.
Especially within the space we find ourselves in. Unfortunately, because our work is out there for all to see, or us goes through a medium to masses, everybody gets to talk about us and the Solly syndrome, okay? Lawyers go ask people for money, doctors go, architects go, everybody goes asking people for money. But for me, the critical point here is that we shouldn't do that, because you see, when it does that, it diminishes your quality. It reduces the kind of value that you have in the eyes of the people within, the newsmaker space. And, it just goes to also discredit you. I mean, remember that we're in a space, or we're in a profession that requires a lot of dignity, a lot of integrity. And without these, you cannot progress. So once you're able to uphold your integrity by making sure that you're staying there, you're hanging in a balance, you're not influenced by money, you're able to keep your brand out there, the respect is there, your credibility is there, and every other single thing that you say or you publish becomes the truth and what people will prefer, because they know that you're a brand that cannot be compromised. So this is something that I'm very passionate about. And every time when I get the opportunity to speak to young people in the educational institutions, when I'm honoring various speaking engagements, I hammer very much on it. I mean, yeah, we are all working for the money, but it's important that we earn it through certain ways, okay? I'm glad to say this, that, I mean, you can go to any office, you can go to anybody. I mean, the work we do is out there for all to see. And nobody can beat their chest and say that they gave me money or influenced me to write a story in a certain way, or to go and write a story to discredit somebody, or do an editorial that went to discredit somebody and favor someone else. Never, ever. Never, ever.
All right. So let's take a look at the second question.
Samdam Nang Dorothy Tendam, 1,100 students of UNIMAC IJ, Ghana Institute of Journalism, to be precise. So my question is, so as huge as you are in the industry, so how do you juggle MCing with journalism?
Well, it's interesting. So what it is that when people come to me and they want me to handle events, what I tell them is, okay, this is I'm engaged at multimedia full time, doing this and this and that. So if you want me, it has to be after this time or before this time, And for some reason, it's gone hand in hand pretty well. There are days when if you are not able to handle it, you just take the day off. Go and discuss it at HR. Take the day off and go and handle them. I mean, there are some times when they'll be back to back and all of that, and you have leave days as well. So you go pick them up and then you handle it and come back to work. So it's worked hand in hand. There have been days when, unfortunately, some have had to go because I'm on radio, I'm live, I'm on television, I'm live, and of course, you cannot, But truth is that there are those who have left their core everyday professions and are pursuing it full time. So, hey, that's what it is.
Okay.
My name is Adokano Betzel, a level 100 student of UNIMAC IJ, and I'm a journalism student. My question is, what has been your worst challenge as a journalist?
Have you ever faced any challenge?
We face challenges from time to time. I mean, on a regular day when you're looking for information.
Okay.
And the carrier of the information or the source of the information is backtracking, and you're dealing with things that you have to do that are time-bound. It becomes very tough and it becomes difficult to accept, considering that we're in a very competitive media space.
Okay.
I mean, new media has taken over greatly, and the way we disseminate our news has taken the face of news dissemination and information dissemination has taken a completely different, angle. Back in the time, I'll give you an example. For instance, there's an accident scene somewhere, and somebody knows a media house. They call them on their landline. They get their resources together, rush to the scene. Nowadays, our mobile phones are there, and people, have become journalists themselves. So they just put on their phones, put on their live equipment, and they're there. Hey, this is an accident that happened here. Blah 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 blah. This and that is happening. And of course, over there is a very big gamble, because if I'm handling it, I'm a trained mind and a trained hand. Oh. So, for instance, I won't go shooting the live images of people who probably are very injured and all of that, because there are ethics guidelines to go along with those. But the thing is that, like I said, the face of publishing news has changed greatly.
Oh, okay.
And so we are in that time. And, so when you're looking for it and it's a big deal, everybody is looking up to you to get it, and you're not, then it becomes a very big issue. What else? I believe that we're all still growing. I think that in this side of the world, we've got the quality to sit anywhere and on any stage, and I'm glad to say that. But thing too is that in this side of the world, we're still dealing with the issues of technology. In the recent days, this issue of the break in the fiber optic cable, undersea cable that is disrupting our internet and all of that. You can imagine the effects and how quickly the developed world is able to recover as against us over here. So all of these are things that, and in media as well, we all have our various challenges. But we're still pushing, we're still striving very hard, because there is a very big audience out there who are always looking up to us to bring them and to tell them what's happening around the world.
Okay, all right. So we are done with the question time segment, and we have a last part of the program where I get to have fun with you. So I'm going to give you a task to perform, and at the end of the day, I'm going to rate you whether you passed or failed the task. So are you ready?
Am I ready? I'm not sure.
All right, so this is still the Career Show on Joy News and Joy Learning TV. Let's go for a quick break. We'll be right back.
The Career Trail. Your success journey begins here.
All right, welcome back from that quick breather. This is the last segment of the program where I get to have fun with Mr. Attoh. I'm going to give him a task to perform, and at the end of the day, I get to become his lecturer or tutor or his boss. I'm going to grade whether he passed or failed the task. So are you ready for me?
Okay, let's go.
All right, so you can select one of the papers.
Okay.
All right.
Should I open it?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I'm supposed to guess the names of the full names of the images.
Okay, so my director is going to display the images on the screen. All right.
Oh, Abedi Ayu Pele.
Okay.
Azuma Zum Zum Nelson, the only professor in, the only professor outside of the academia. That is Azuma Zum Zum Nelson. He's the greatest boxer ever to have graced the African continent. Three-time boxing world champion, and the first African boxer to be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Professor Azuma Zum Zum Nelson. Hats off for him.
All right, can I take a look at the next picture?
Busumuru Kofi Annan became, Secretary General of the United Nations, called to his maker some years ago, a seasoned international diplomat, one who brought Ghana, great plaudits for his work as a diplomat around the world, even before he became Secretary General of the United Nations. And his leadership of the organization during the years when he was there is described as one of the best.
Okay, so let's take a look at the next picture.
Anita Erskine. My own Anita Erskine. So Anita and I have hosted quite a number of events together.
Okay.
Interesting thing is that I used to listen to Anita when she was in Groove FM, when I was still in school. And we've hosted quite a number of events together. I remember, the ones that I remember immediately are the opening ceremony of the CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations. She's bilingual, she does French. So, we did it together. And we're a super tag team. Love her to bits.
Okay. All right, the next picture. Okay,
so this is Mrs. Theodosia Oko. She is the designer of our national flag. Her home was in North Ridge. It's been redesigned and it's been, Now, the national hockey pitch was also named after her. Our redesigned national hockey pitch was named after her, and that is the venue hosting our the hockey event under the African Games, the 13th edition of the African Games. Amazing, amazing lady. I met one of her sons, and quick one.
Okay.
So it goes to buttress the fact that what goes around comes around. So her daughter-in-law happened to be one of my mentees in marriage counseling, one of my counselors in marriage counseling, many years ago, over a decade ago when I was about to get married. Her son's wife, So you see, everybody's connected to it.
All right. And the last picture.
Nathaniel Attoh. Nathaniel
Wow.
Attoh is a seasoned author and a very big block within the academia. One person who is a great career of our values, our norms, and our, transferring them into literature and educating the next generation based on her rich experiences as a young Ghanaian woman. And she is someone who represents the ideal, Ghanaian and African woman in terms of achievement and in terms of setting big targets for young girls, to follow. And she's somebody I have very great admiration for all of the work she's done.
Okay, so you passed my task. In fact, I'm going to give you 101 over 100. Okay, so wrapping up, your last words. But before we take your last words, I want to ask this question personally. Has there been a time where you are going up for an interview where you fear because of the guest coming on the show, or a program that you are emceeing that you are scared? Looking at how your background is, the training you've had?
Never. Not a single day. I mean, every human being gets their jitters and everything, but I believe that is one of my strengths. Recently, and I'll tell you this, I'm not going to mention the specific edition, but at one of the editions of the EMY Africa Awards, I had a co-host ask me, how come you are so relaxed? I say, well, it's, and this is a thing that is unique to me. Okay. It's a personal thing. I don't need to spike myself with anything to face the crowd, no matter how big they are. I mean, I've served crowds from 40,000 to 150 and 80, and it's the same. I mean, and I'm glad for it. I'm glad that I have that big dose of confidence, which is always there. And like I said, for me, I always keep telling my children, I tell them that even though there is a word that exists called shyness, in our family, there shouldn't be anything like shyness or timidity. We all have to be confident because it's a trait that Daddy has and got from the generation before.
Okay, so now let's take your last words. Any advice to students?
Well, listen, we're living in a world that throws different challenges at us. And it is important that we all look deep within ourselves and identify as one or two or three of God's handmaid. And we also need to understand that every other day or every other moment that the sun comes out, there's an opportunity. The sky above is above all of us.
Okay.
And when it rains on all of us. In the same way, there are opportunities for everybody. So look within yourself. Look at that thing that comes to you easily, because that may be your area of talent. Grow it and let it work. That's the reason why love is one of my biggest, words and one of my biggest inspirations. Love is the greatest commandment in the Bible. And when you have love, you are able to open yourself up and do everything with affection, with verve, with energy, and with commitment.
Okay.
And so I believe that every single human being must look within themselves, identify what they have, and based on that, pursue endeavor. And in that, they will be able to make success and also make massive impact.
Okay, and that was from Mr. Attoh. This has been the Career Trail on Joy Learning TV. If you tune in late, you can always watch the interview on our YouTube channel at Joy Learning TV. Thanks for watching.
The Career Trail, your success journey begins here.